Hi, this is Inge coming to you from Ingesknittinglab in Denmark. Oh boy, what a week. It's been fantastic. A lot has been going on and I'm happy to present to you the finished object of mine, the Anker Tee from Petite Knit. Oh, it's been such a mindful and joyful knit for me, and well needed, I would say, after all the work with my new design, the flower bud tee. So this made me reflect of the different kinds of knitting for me. On one hand, the mindful knitting, and the other hand, what I call the playful knitting, where I can experiment and play around and not necessarily think about if this would be good or how the end product will be. Just let the mind and the needles flow. And this is the whip and play basket for this week. As you can see, I've made more gauge swatches and colors and brands and so on to work with. And I must say I am very happy and overwhelmed by the response I had on, I guess it was video number 5, where I presented this design, the summer glow tee with the puff sleeves. So this has also led me to think about if I should write up this pattern and could I use some other yarns and some other variegated yarns and colors, but also more about that later. As you saw in the intro, this week we visited the experimental bird sanctuary, which was created by my father-in-law. He is now deceased, but he would have been 90 years this year, or this past week. So the family, we visited and enjoyed walking around, listening to the birds and seeing nature and having a bite to eat. You can see the small house. It's now both a museum and where you can watch the birds from up high over the water. Yeah, and we also had our wedding anniversary this week, my husband and I. 34 years. Oh boy, it's a long time since we met at the Technical University of Denmark. So we invited the kids and their family, and we had a very great day. And as you can see in one of the pictures, my daughter, she binded a bouquet of flowers resembling some of the flowers in our wedding bouquet back then. So made us very happy. It was a great day. Okay, but before we get started, just a practical remark. If you want to go forwards or backwards in the video to sections of your interest, you can just use the timestamps mentioned in the description. They will also show us small movie clips so you can get where you want to be in a snippy moment. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. This Anker Tee by Petite Knit is made by Sandnes Yarn Line. A very soft yarn made from viscose and cotton and linen. And yeah, it's made top down in the sections here where you increase, and then it's just rib parts. Depending on the size, you have more or less ribs, and this is a size large because this was a request from one in my family. I guess if my father would have been here, he would have said, if these fibers could talk, they would scream a bit, because it is stretched with negative ease for me. Yeah, you can see me. I try to show it here beside me, but yeah, you don't so often see me showing my knits on myself, and I must say I'm embarrassed to say, yeah, I am a bit shy to show the items on myself, because I gained so much weight during the COVID period, I worked 80 hours a day, not taking care of myself at all. So yeah, and yeah, I don't know how much I should talk about it, but my body is so uneven in the size, one side being much bigger than the other. So, and it's more visible the larger I get. But yeah, let's see if I can reduce weight at some point, or just live with it and be happy. I guess my mindset is like this: if it annoys you enough, you have to do something about it, or otherwise you have to stop complaining or blaming yourself and just enjoy life. But okay, back to the tea. So just an ordinary cast on and cast off, and these increased sections. If you heard my last, or one of my last videos, you would hear me talking about me starting at size X large, and we wanted to change to size large. So what I did was that I made a recalculation of when separating from body and sleeves, and this small raglan section here you can do otherwise. So you can see here beside me how I do it. I draw these circles with the total number of stitches and the division for body and sleeves, and I use the rule of thumb that 1/3 should go to the back and 1/3 to the front, and then it would be 1/6 to each sleeve, being 1/3 the rest of the stitches. That's the rule of thumb, and then you can move forward and backwards depending on your arm size and so on. So yeah, that's what I used. So it hopefully will fit her, but I guess after showing you, maybe I need to wash again so that it will find its own shape for her to fit. And when talking about washing, you know, you've heard me talking about the 3 brands being very similar. This Line garn, and just a second, I'll find it. This Drop Spell, and the third one being I don't have it here, but that's the Cecilia from Swaterford. And I get wiser and wiser when using those, and it feels like compared to the Swaterford, this seems a bit more rough and stiff like cotton when I have washed it, compared to the Cecilia yarn, which is still very soft after washing. But I don't know if it's a general thing or just this wash, but I use the same detergent or wool wash that I always do. So yeah, I don't know why. One thing more about this tee. I can see for me the neckline is fine, but I don't know if for the person to receive this it would be too wide, but Petite Knit recommends to use a small elastic, sew in a small elastic here in a neckband, and I think I will do this for her, maybe also in the sleeves and in the bottom part. Yeah, I guess this was Petite Knit. While making this Anker Tee, I really felt relaxed and kind of like when I meditate. I guess it was this repetitive motion and just, going onwards and inwards in my mind, thinking about nothing at all or everything else, I would say. And I was curious to learn if there's been any clinical studies mentioning the health benefits or perhaps brain changes of knitting, just like for meditation. I didn't expect to find anything, but actually there were a few qualitative studies, and not so many, of course, as for meditation, but they report similar effects. So let's give it a go, trying to talk about these effects. And the effects when meditating, actually only 13 minutes a day for 4 weeks will give you visible changes in your brain. Wow. I wonder if this is the same thing about knitting. Because knitters in these clinical studies, they answer that they feel more relaxed, they are in a better mood, they sleep better, they can concentrate more, and seem to forget less. And the clinical quantitative studies with brain scans for meditation show that the prefrontal cortex, it thickens, and this is the section of your brain controlling concentration, awareness, decision making, and sense of self. And the brain releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, and these are transmitters of happiness and calmness and awareness. So I guess they have similar effects. If we could just scan our brains like when meditating, I think, but yeah, only my own belief, but I think we would see that some of the similar effects. And isn't it fantastic that actually by doing your crafting, you can self-medicate or self-heal, and actually without medicinal drugs, you can release stress, you can release anxiety and depression. And when you release stress, you will see less inflammation of your body, and with less inflammation you can reduce chronic pain, and you are in a better mood, as I say, and less fatigue, and can sleep better. So what's not to like? And it was also a fun fact, finding out that by the Craft and Yarn Council, that it's not just old grandmas like me who like to knit. Actually 1/3 of women in ages 25 to 35, they are either knitting or crocheting. So yeah, wonderful. And we are not just doing something good for our own health, we're also doing something good for nature, because we use resources from nature, creating garments that we can use, and we use animal fiber, and yeah, what's not to like? So let's continue knitting and being proud of our crafting, and enjoying both the process and the product. Now moving on to the design in progress section. I have been searching high and low for some help and information on different sweater designs, and in one of my former episodes I presented books and what I found until now, and I was showing you this one, guidance from the Yarn Council, Craft and Yarn Council, and this has been very helpful with sizing and measurements and checklists for designing and so on. I would highly recommend you to look at this one. And I've been looking for more stuff, and just recently I found this one from Tin Can. It's called Strange Brew, and this shows you, it's done all the math for you, so calculations for many sizes on how to do a top-down yoked sweater. And it's very helpful if you want to learn more and how to design, or you just simply want to make your own design for yourself, not for others, and grading. And you can see here principles of the yoke sweaters, and where to do the increases, And also if you want, like I've been doing, the wedge design method, when you make a wedge and do repetitions around the yoke. It's like my flower bud tee. You can see the wedge here, and then you just, for different sizes, have different numbers of repetitions and increases, of course, and so on. You have a lot of variables. So this, I can highly recommend you to look at this one. It also have patterns, of course, many good patterns from Tin Can Knits. Also the famous one with the flax sweater. It's a raglan sweater, flax light and flax, so it's different yarn gauges. Okay, that was maybe a bit of a sidetrack, but I can now show you that I have come further with my design. And it's not just, when I say just, it's not, it's hard labor to make a pattern, but you also have to figure out your visual identity and how would you present a pattern and make it easy for people. I've written a lot of SOPs in my time in the pharmaceutical industry, and I keep reminding myself that, of course, this is not an SOP. But anyway, it has to be easy, and but I try to figure out how we do it. This is just in black and white, of course. It will be in colors. So hopefully soon, this design would be. I didn't bring the sweater or the tee, but you could see it in the design, or in one of my other episodes I have presented it. So this was the progress on that design. And then, by the overwhelming interest on this one, I guess, in one of the other episodes, former episodes, I was thinking, well, this tee is made by yarn from Hobby, the Winter Glow, and is 51% wool and 49% acrylic. And I would very much like to find some yarn with the less content of man-made fiber, less acrylic, and I've searched high and low for this kind of variegation that I like. You can see here there are a lot of nice colors, and actually when you have this kind of yarn, you can find any color of your liking to be a contrast color yarn, as I did this one, the pink one. And then I did here the stripes with a variegated yarn, and this one is the unicolor. So I've been searched high and low, and it is a bit hard for me to find what I like. Also in these pink or kind of orange and beigey colors. But I had in my stash some to play with, and a new one, because I also wanted it to be in a summer yarn. So I found this from Hjertegarn Hard Yarn. It's a Danish brand, and it's organic trio, 50% merino and 25% cotton and 25% silk. And combined with this lovely yarn, but this is a sock yarn actually, so there's also I guess 20 or 25% polyester. It's called Highland wool from Holst yarn, and it gives you this kind of variegation. So it is different from the other one, but maybe you know me by now. I really love green and blues. Yeah, any color. I simply enjoy color, but this I've been working on. And then talking about the wedge design, doing wedges, it has become more obvious. I would not say simple to do it. And as another designer said, when looking at her video, when you just figure out how to do the increase and so on in a plain tee or sweater, and you then want to add lace and structure, then it's another beast to challenge. I actually love this expression because to be the first design of mine to write down and make a pattern, it has been quite a beast, I would say, almost taking away my breath, but as I'm stubborn, I won't give up until it's made. And then, you know, when finding new inspiration, I do the checking to see if how it fits with everything and would it add up and all the sizing. So actually now, I guess I started with 5 sizes and now I have 12 sizes going from X small to 6XL. So there's a variety of sizes. The suggested ease is 2 to 4 inches and 5 to 10 centimeters. So it should be possible to find your size within the range of 12 sizes, I guess. Yeah, but then I have moved on from this very complex, at least to do the pattern sweater, to a more simple one. I wanted to explore more about doing a simple increase in rows. So I had this made this one. Maybe it's not knitted up so nicely. I can do better, but I guess you can see the principle that I start with fewer stitches here and knit down in 2 rows below, and so I make this fan, and at the next increase row I just increase 2 more stitches, and then you can play around and see if you would like to do the fan in another color to make it kind of a flowery thing, and you can use different colors. I just use some stash yarn, leftover yarn from knits, and another kind of wedge. I was still kind of intrigued by the Estonian stitches and how can I use unicolor yarn to make kind of my own variegated. So it's not, don't think of this as a final design, it's more like a play piece. So I think, well, could I do these Estonian stitches and leave some stockinette in between and increase in the Estonian stitches rounds? And could I use, for example, this is Viking Bambino, so this is bamboo yarn, 50% bamboo and 50% cotton. And if I could do some kind of, use one strand of the white with one strand of this one, and then one strand of the other one, and yeah, you know the drill, how to combine. And it definitely works to do the wedge, but I'm not sure. Yeah, at some point, you know, I was happy with this bamboo because it's very soft, but maybe I stared too much at it and it suddenly looked too shiny for me. I don't know why, or it was the white nature seeming a bit yellow, like, I don't know. But yeah, that was playing around. And then just the usual plain ones to see which stitch count we have. And I must say I have done a lot because I don't want to make a pattern. I've done a lot with this Belle and Lena and Cecilia yarn because I don't want a design where I haven't tested how does it work in wash, how does it work before washing, and when you write the design and the stitch count should work, and how does it behave after washing and before washing. Yeah, you know the drill. So maybe I'm over testing a bit, but yeah, as I said, it is my first, hopefully becoming my first public design. And then you fear, do you think anyone likes it and would even like to try to do it? And yeah, but that's just a lot of thoughts, maybe not so productive, I would say. Okay. Then this new yarn for me, it's called the Bunny by Perma. It's 100% cotton. I guess in the summer yarn episode I mentioned this one. It's as you can probably see, it's a knitted yarn. I don't know the technical term. I can look it up and write it on the screen. And wow, I thought, well, it looks a bit strange. I've never tried it before, but actually look at the elasticity. And I washed it and I blocked it upon recognition, I would say, and it has found itself again. It's kind of like wool, and it's 100% cotton. And yeah, and it gets kind of a bit of an unevenness because this, when you knit with this band, it curls a bit around. But I will go for top down, but I'll start at the neck and continue here to do shoulders and connect, and then go downwards and make what I call a sunset tee. So it'll be white and with stripes going more and more in intense sunset colors downwards. That's what's in my head, at least now. So the sunset tee. But let's see for the next time. And this I showed you before, the organic trio wool silk. It's because I had this challenge. Maybe you heard me talk about the challenge with wool and being so smooth that it's hard for me to get an even knit. But this silk is kind of more not the silky shiny thing, but another, and it actually very nice to the skin. So I don't know quite yet how. Has not built an image in my head yet, besides the one resembling the summer glow tee. But yeah, I think that's all I have in the design progress section. Let me elaborate a bit about my new concept I call playful knitting. And it's kind of like learning by doing, learning knitting while playing around with it. And just start. Don't limit yourself on thinking this has to be an end product, but just let your mind and your ideas flow throughout your brain and onto the needle. See what happens, and you get inspired by other knitters and designers, and try to take bits and pieces and create something. And out of the many ideas, maybe some work, maybe some don't. And I came to think about our Danish Queen. She hosts these speeches every new year, and she says, try doing something unyttigt, it's called in Danish. And it's very hard to translate this into English, but if I should, it would be kind of like, depending on the context, but do something which is maybe not profitable or efficient or thinking of the end product and means of it. Just do something, and do something with others. This can be meaningful. And I think she's such a wise queen. She says many good things. And so doing this, playing around, not knowing where it takes me, I mean, it boosts my ideas, and this iterative process of learning while playing and doing, it's nice. and I get mentally challenged, and I get the connectiveness with others with the same kindred spirits, so to speak, on crafting and knitting, and yeah, being socially active in our community, both virtually, but also in the knitting team and community we have here in my city, so, or village actually. But yeah, so that's what I call playful knitting. So maybe you can relate and maybe just let go. And it's not that it's an expensive sport, because I use waste yarn or stash yarn, and just, you know, not thinking that this yarn should be a specific product. I just use what I have to see where it takes me, and then I can go on and choose a yarn that I want and figure out more. So that's a concept. I have one whip project, or I don't know actually if it deserved to be a whip, because I started and then it got on hold. And I have it in this plastic bag from IKEA. I keep all my yarn in these plastic boxes because it helps to protect from moist and dust and yeah, whatnot, moth. And I put these small sachets inside. Family members, they when they get packages, they keep these for me to take out the moist, if any. And in the bag I have this wonderful yarn from Isager, a Danish brand, and this is a sweater for my husband, and you can see the design beside me. And the story goes like this: I knit a lot, and my husband said, yeah, why only knitting for women? What about my sweater? Didn't you start one? And can I have mine finished? And yes, sure you can. but let me tell you why it has been sitting there not getting all started. I started doing the swatches. So it is done like this. You compare the tweed with the alpaca one from Isager, and then the pattern color with these nice, I call them Greek pattern, but she was inspired by, it's called Dexel, by the lids of, I guess, sewer holes. I guess they can be quite nice with all the yeah, figures. So one color is this one, the background color, and this is the pattern color, and there are more of them. And I was trying to, of course, get the gauge of the pattern, and the pattern calls for 28 stitches and 28 rows. And I tried different needle sizes, and you can see I do these swatches, and I note which kind of yarn it is and needle size, and before and during and after blocking, and I simply couldn't get gauge. And my problem was that while she needs 28 stitches, I had only 24. And I also only had 20 rows where she has 28 rows. And you can tell my headache, because I don't know if you can see it, but if you have this this kind of pattern doing like this, and you don't have the same row gauge, you can probably more easily manage a different stitch gauge. But if the row gauge is very different, I had to repattern and redo and make more rows for, and suddenly this project became a new redesigning of the pattern, and also the grading, because it doesn't go in his size. He's, I guess, the smallest size here is size medium, and he's a size small. So not just grading for size, also the patterning. And you know what? I lost confidence. I totally lost confidence, and I thought, well, I cannot do it, and it won't fit him, and it's rather expensive yarn, so I wouldn't just go along and hope for luck or what to happen. But so if you have any ideas I have tried like this, please let me know. What I have been thinking is that while doing this, I had some difficulty with my osteoarthritis and pain in my hands, so my gauge wasn't that even, and now I have overcome these issues, so maybe it will be different now. But I guess it's quite some difference, right, from 28 stitches and 28 rows to 24 stitches and 20 rows. I don't, and you compare these two and it doesn't look like they're the same, right? So wouldn't your pattern be skewed when combining two different yarns and gauges? I would imagine if you have compared the Highland wool with a follow yarn and then the tweed, perhaps I'm doing it wrong, but no. You wouldn't combine the black with this one, so I don't think I'm doing it wrong. Have you tried it? Are you a skilled Isager knitter, or know what to do, or have made this one? Please let me know. Or then, because he's saying, I would like a knit. My husband said, I would like this one, and maybe you should start now so it's ready for winter time. And he's right. I think I will have to mobilize some self-esteem and self-confidence and energy to get this project started. We've come to the end now. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up, or maybe subscribe to my channel if you enjoy hearing about more of my concept, or maybe you can relate to playful knitting or mindful knitting or other stuff I mentioned, and hopefully you got a bit inspiration. I definitely do, from you other knitters out there. So let's see each other hopefully in the next episode. So Marianne over from Ingesknittinglab, color me happy. Bye bye.